Imagine waking up to a completely silent phone, only to realize your entire enterprise network has just ground to a halt. Nobody can log in. Your VPN access, totally broken. Wi-Fi authentication is failing across every single campus, and smart cards are basically useless plastic. Well, welcome to this explainer, where we're tackling one of the absolute most high-stakes, ticking clock scenarios in enterprise IT, a collapsing public key infrastructure due to an expiring subordinate CA. We're going to dive right in and master the ultimate blueprint for a zero-outage renewal from an offline root CA.
You see, if your subordinate certificate authority, which is really the active engine of your PKI, expires, it doesn't just quietly stop issuing new certificates. The entire trust chain collapses. Every single device, server, and user that relies on that trust anchor is suddenly locked out. It's a massive domino effect, and the consequences are catastrophic. So we're going to explore exactly how you can prevent this disaster and ensure seamless continuity for your entire enterprise trust infrastructure.
But real quick before we type a single command, we do need to lay down a crucial ground rule. As our professional safety disclaimer states, this explainer is strictly for educational and informational purposes. The strategies we're unpacking here are incredibly effective, but all PKI infrastructure changes must be rigorously tested in a controlled, non-production environment before deployment. You never ever test in production when the literal keys to the kingdom are at stake.
Okay, here's the game plan for today. We'll be covering 1. The cost of PKI failure. 2. Building the trust chain. 3. Renewal preparation and strategy. 4. The offline renewal workflow. 5. Zero outage enterprise deployment. And finally, 6. Evergreen PKI best practices.
Let's kick things off with part 1, the cost of PKI failure and understanding that degrading validity period.
So there's a foundational rule in X.509 validation, and it's this. A CA can never, ever issue a certificate that outlives its own lifespan. This mathematical phenomenon is known as certificate truncation. Think of it this way. If you request a 2-year certificate from a subordinate CA that still has 5 years left to live, great, you get your full 2 years. But if that sub-CA only has 1.5 years left, your requested 2-year cert gets aggressively truncated down to just 6 months. Drop that sub-CA lifespan down to 1.9 years, you're suddenly getting certificates valid for a mere month. Your administrative overhead goes through the roof, and eventually, issuance just fails entirely. Basically, the clock is always ticking against you.
Moving right along to part 2, building the trust chain, trust anchors, and issuing authorities.
Before we get into the weeds, let's define our main character here. The subordinate CA, or issuing CA, is the absolute workhorse of your environment. It sits right there on your network, dynamically signing requests for web servers, smart cards, VPNs, you name it. But here's the catch. It actually has no authority of its own. Its operational validity is entirely delegated by and cryptographically chained back to its parent, the root CA.
It's honestly a night and day difference in how we treat these two entities in a two-tier PKI. Your offline root CA, that's your ultimate trust anchor. It is severely air-gapped, it's not joined to the domain, and honestly, it spends 99% of its life physically powered off inside a vault just to protect its private key. It's got a massive lifespan, usually around 20 years. Now, the online subordinate CA is the exact opposite. It's connected, highly active, and operates on a much shorter validity period, like 5 to 10 years. Because that root is offline, renewing the subordinate CA means we actually have to securely cross that air gap.
All right, part 3, renewal preparation and strategy. We have some serious cryptographic decisions to make before execution.
Here's the million-dollar question before you start. Do you renew with the existing key pair, or do you generate a new one? Renewing with the same key pair is going to offer you maximum compatibility. The subject key identifier stays exactly the same, which means all your previously issued client certificates keep their trust paths perfectly intact. For routine renewals, this is highly recommended. On the flip side, generating a new key pair is absolutely essential if you suspect any sort of compromise or if you're upgrading your cryptographic algorithms, like moving to post-quantum standards. But fair warning, a new key means generating a brand new base certificate revocation list, or CRL, and it introduces some pretty complex cross-certification paths, so choose wisely based on what your security needs actually are.
Oh, and watch out for this trap because it catches so many admins off guard. If you're using a catpolicy.in file to customize your renewal target state, like maybe changing the validity period, you absolutely must save this file in the Windows directory using strict ANSI encoding, specifically Windows 1252.
If you just go ahead and save it as standard UTF-8, Active Directory Certificate Services will silently ignore it, and your renewal is going to default to standard and usually incorrect parameters. It's a tiny, tiny detail, but it will absolutely ruin your maintenance window.
Let's move to part 4, the offline renewal workflow. We're going to cross that air gap, step by step.
Okay, step 1 on your Subordinate CA, verify your admin rights, and critically, execute a full backup of your database and private keys. Do not skip the backup. Once you're safe, you initiate the renewal process. If you've decided to reuse those keys, just select No to a new key pair. Then comes the trick. The system is going to prompt you to submit the request to an online parent CA. You must click Cancel. Why? Well, because your root CA is offline. Clicking Cancel forces the system to drop a raw.req request file right onto your local C drive.
Next up, grab that request file, load it onto some secure, encrypted physical media, like a freshly wiped USB drive, and literally walk it over to your offline root CA. You'll boot up the root, submit that request through the CA console, and approve it. Boom. The root CA has now cryptographically signed the extended life of your sub-CA. Now, when you export this freshly minted certificate, you have to make sure you select the PKCS number 7 format. That's the .p7b file, and absolutely check the box to include the full certification path. This ensures your sub-CA has everything it needs to natively build its trust chain when you boot it back up. Finally, you sneakernet that P7b file right back to your online Subordinate CA. Open up the console, install the CA certificate, and then this part is key: restart the Certificate Services service. Doing this binds the new cryptographic context to your active engine. Once it spins back up, immediately publish a fresh CRL and make sure it propagates to Active Directory. Congrats, you've successfully crossed the air gap. But wait, we aren't totally out of the woods just yet. This brings us to part 5, Zero Outage Enterprise Deployment, Surviving Trust Gaps and Database Locks. So look, if you just slap that new certificate on the sub-CA immediately, applications with strict validation policies are probably going to reject it. Why? Because they haven't learned to trust the new chain yet. We call this a trust gap. To completely avoid this, enterprise architects use a brilliant protocol called Distribute First, Then Activate. You generate the cert on the root, but before you install it on the sub-CA, you pre-distribute it to all your endpoints via group policy or your MDM. You wait for Active Directory to fully replicate. Only when every single laptop and server already trusts that new certificate do you finally activate it on the sub-CA. It's a seamless, flawless, zero outage maneuver. And why does this strategy matter so much? Well, picture this. Imagine an environment with 10,000 endpoints. If you mismanage this renewal, the Windows auto-enrollment engines are going to detect a change in the trust chain. Suddenly, 10,000 devices are going to simultaneously hammer your Subordinate CA, demanding new certificates to match the new chain. We call this a certificate storm. It will completely saturate your service, cause massive database locks, and basically crash your PKI. Staggering your template validity and pre-distributing the trust chain is how you survive this.
But hey, stuff happens. What if something goes wrong? Say a corrupted CRL gets published and authentication just halts. First rule, do not panic. Execute your emergency rollback protocol. Retrieve your last known good base CRL from those secure backups and manually overwrite the files on your HTTP distribution points. Then you've got to clear the poison caches on your clients. The magic command you want here is certitool URL cache *delete. That forces the client to flush its local cache and pull down the clean CRL. Once the bleeding is stopped, then you can go in and safely resolve the configuration errors on the CA.
And finally, part 6, Evergreen PKI Best Practices. Let's build some architectural resilience for the long term.
This right here is the golden rule of PKI architecture, the 50% lifespan renewal cycle. Let's say your Subordinate CA has a 10-year validity period, and your entity certificates have a 5-year validity. You cannot wait until year 9 to renew. If you do, those 5-year leaf certificates are going to be severely truncated, like we talked about earlier. Instead, you renew the sub-CA at exactly the 50% mark, so year 5. This guarantees that your leaf templates never, ever bump into the ceiling of a degrading CA lifespan. It essentially creates an automated, self-healing lifecycle.
I want to leave you with a really advanced pro-level architectural secret. Because your offline root CA isn't joined to the domain, it has absolutely no idea what your Active Directory schema looks like. So if you try to manually publish the CRL from it, you'll often get slapped with an LDAP referral error, specifically 0x8007202B. But you can prevent this entirely.
Just pre-populate the dsconfig.dn registry string on the offline root CA so it perfectly matches your production AD schema partition. This gives the offline box the directory awareness it needs to format paths correctly.
We've covered a ton today. We went through the catastrophic risks of expiration, the math behind truncation, the sheer precision needed to cross the air gap, and the enterprise deployment strategies required to keep your network alive. You now have the ultimate blueprint for a zero-outage subordinate CA renewal. So I'll leave you with this question. Are your enterprise trust anchors proactively secured using these evergreen practices, or is a silent clock already ticking in your server room toward a catastrophic expiration? Audit your infrastructure today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.